Good morning to everyone who are here. We start the session at 10 a.m. Meanwhile, I would like to tell you that there are three interesting speakers between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. The first speaker is Mr. Derek Pice, who works for the Massachusetts Port Authority. He's a vice president of accounts and he deals with accounts receivables. It is very interesting to listen to him because Massachusetts Port Authority, called Massport, is basically a not-for-profit organization. So we have a gamut of functions that they do, where there is a actual harbor as well as 3 airports that they handle. It's a very interesting business model to listen to. Derek Pice will speak for 40 minutes. Next, we have a speaker, Dr. Vishwanath. He's the director of and professor from MP Birla. I will introduce him later. A very knowledgeable academician who will speak on the agricultural laws of our country and how they affect agribusiness. Given the current situation in our country, it is a very nice academic, knowledge-giving talk. Then we have Mr. Shinto Joseph. Mr. Shinto Joseph have spoken about business trend post-COVID-19. It is a very wholesome lecture. He touches upon various aspects of human life behavior in an individual perspective, as well as from a professional perspective and what companies are required to do. So with this, we conclude and this Commerce Department will take over the sessions till 3 p.m. At 3 p.m., we will come back with Father Thomas, who is the principal of St. Paul's College, and he talks about the impact of fake news in society and in business. Following that, we have paper presentations from our research scholars till 4 p.m. The paper presentation session will be chaired by Dr. Venkatesh, Director of Acharya Bangalore B School. With this, at 4 p.m., we conclude the MBA department presentations. And at 4 p.m., I request all of you to join the main audience of the university for the valedictory function. Thank you. I will be back again at 10 a.m. Good morning once again. This is Dr. Cynthia, professor from the Department of Management Studies. And we have three important, very interesting presentations today. This is the management department between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. And we will be showcasing three good speakers. The first speaker is Derek Pice, who is the Vice President of Accounts in Massachusetts Port Authority. Massachusetts Port Authority is a not-for-profit organization in Boston. It has 3 airports and a harbor and various other functions. So it is very interesting to listen to Derek. He talks about a non-profit, not-for-profit organization and how they function very ethically. The business model that he presents is very interesting to listen to. It is followed by Dr. Vishwanath, Principal and Director of Group Director of Birla Institute of Management Studies. A very knowledgeable academician, Professor Vishwanath will highlight the agricultural laws in India and their impact on agribusiness. Following which, we have Mr. Shinto Joseph, who has given us a wholesome lecture on post-COVID factors. He goes on a very positive note. He talks about how post-COVID has affected individual behavior, participation, professional life, as well as corporate life. All the three lectures are very interesting. It is 10 a.m. now. I would like to present our speakers one by one. I repeat, Derek Pice, Vice President, Accounts Receivable, Massachusetts Port Authority, Boston, followed by Dr. Vishwanath, Group Director of Birla Institute of Management Studies, who talks about agricultural laws in India and its impact on agribusiness. And this lecture will be followed by Mr. Shinto Joseph, who is the Director of Asia Pacific Operations of his organization. I will introduce each of them as the session comes. And Mr. Shinto Joseph has beautifully, on a positive note, explained post-COVID-19 scenario. With this, I will hand over the session to Anita, who's doing the tech support. Over to you.
Hello, this is Derek. I work at the Massachusetts Port Authority in Boston, Massachusetts. I work as the Accounts Receivable Department of Massport. I'm just here to give you a brief glimpse on how the aviation industry works. This is a not-for-profit government agency, and we do not look for any profit. All the money goes back to the airlines. So the companies in these industries operate airports for commercial and general aviation and provide support services such as air traffic control, aircraft fueling and maintenance, baggage and cargo handling, and rental of hangar space, operations and maintenance of airports and runways. The companies holding the largest market share in the airport operations in the US include the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, which has LaGuardia and JFK, and the second one being Chicago Department of Aviation, which has Midway and O'Hare. Massport occupies the 8th largest market in the US. Again, going back, there are two kinds of airports, those with operating control towers and those without. Every year, there are more than 40 million arrivals and departures. Nearly half of these are general aviation operations. Although it's possible for a pilot to avoid towered airports, doing so impacts the flexibility and utility of flying. Two things distinguish a towered airport. One is the presence of ATC, whose primary function is to coordinate traffic flow and prevent collisions. You can look at the number of operations, takeoff and landings at any airport using the ATADS database. This is a FAA database which has all the takeoffs and landings of all airports in the US. It is updated every 20th of each month. This information is used to calculate the revenue of all commissions, etc., due to the incoming passengers and the outgoing passengers, and the commissions based on all the airport operators is the revenue to the Port Authority. We at Boston Logan have different departments. The one is Boston Logan Airport. The second one is the cruise port, which is all the cruises start incoming and outgoing. Then we have the Conley Terminal, which handles all the port-related container systems. We have the Worcester Regional Airport and the Hanscom Air Force Base. We exist in service of progress and opportunity, connecting Massachusetts and New England to the world, and dedicated to the vibrant neighborhoods around us. We serve the robust economy and diverse people of a great Commonwealth of Massachusetts. We work hard to be the gateway to the world New England deserves. Massport, in short, which is for Massachusetts Port Authority, is governed by a 7-member board. Massport's CEO serves at the pleasure of the board and is responsible for carrying out his agenda with the assistance of the Massport executive staff. We are a quasi-state organization, meaning our own board of directors with its own funds. There are various other state agencies, but we are a quasi-state because all our funds come from federal funds, and state has no authority to use those funds, but we act as a state agency. As I said, there are 5 appointed by the governor of Massachusetts who are on the board, and 1 is appointed by the Massachusetts Community Advisory Committee, the Secretary of Transportation, and the CEO of the Department of DOT, or Department of Transportation, serves as an ex officio member of the board. All members serve without compensation. Board members must be residents of Massachusetts. Massport connects New England to the world and promotes the regional economy through the operation of these 3 airports, namely Boston Logan International, Hanscom Field, and Worcester Regional Airport. Besides, the Port of Boston's cargo and cruise facilities and property management, real estate development in Boston. We have high standards to excel to in all we do, which includes having the most talented people to maintain our facilities and achieve our goals. We strive for diversity in our workforce and to make Massport a leader among our peers in transportation safety and security, customer service, and environmental management. Since Massport operates as a business, we offer a comprehensive benefits package to compete with private industry to attract and retain the best talent in the industry. Now, Massport's benefits include excellent medical and dental insurance, coverage beginning the first day of the month following 60 days of employment. We have the Vision Care Plan, which is employee funded, Coverage depends on job status and union affiliation. We have flexible spending accounts for healthcare and dependent care, whereby money from your is taken from your pre-tax amounts and then deposited into this account where you can use for healthcare and dependent care and to lessen your income tax purposes. If you do not use this money goes back to the government. We also have medical insurance, opt-out program life insurance, where the coverage varies. Medical insurance opt-out program means if husband and wife are both working, and if both have medical, one can get out and save that money instead of having two plans, medical plans. We also have charitable contribution matching programs, like if you want to contribute to any charitable organization, Massport will also contribute a certain percentage to that charity. We have the retirement pension plan, where as every employee has to contribute to this plan. It is a retirement plan. So a percentage of your pre-tax amount is taken and deposited into this retirement pension plan. This plan, after 10 years, when you retire at the age of 55 or over, as long as you completed 10 years, you will get a pension from the state, as well as medical services for the rest of your life. Besides that, we have the deferred compensation 457B Smart plan. It is more like a 401k plan in the private sector, but in the government sector it is known as the 457B plan, where you can invest in different categories of shares in the market. So you may lose your money, or your money will be up. We also offer paid time leave, including holidays, personal days, sick time, and vacation. Usually we get 10 hours per every month of vacation time and 10 hours of sick time every month. You can carry forward anything up to 5 weeks. We also get tuition reimbursement, as well as transportation assistance program, whereby if you are traveling by the which is known as the railway system here, you get 50% off, which is pre-taxed again. You get the pass. We also have flexible work arrangements where you can work 4 days a week, or you can work, you can start your different time of work and end your time of work, etc. We also have employee assistance program, whereby it's anything related to health and wellness of the family. You can just call up quietly on the side, talk to them, and they will help you out, including financial problems, etc. That's known as the employee assistance program. Going back to Massport. Massport is a dynamic agency constantly striving to maintain the highest standards. We promote a culture of excellence by continuing to develop and maintain an environment where individuals are respected, motivated, challenged, and encouraged to take initiative, working towards achieving an open and inclusive culture benefits. Our employees, customers, and neighboring communities through continuously seeking ways to enhance our organization and performance at every level and in everything we do. We also have internships and summer jobs, which provide an exciting way for students to develop their skills while gaining first-hand knowledge and experience in the transportation industry. Opportunities exist both at the undergraduate and graduate level for students studying various fields, including aviation, maritime, planning and development, engineering, accounting and finance, communications, labor relations, security services, information technology, public policy, and law. We also have the Massport Port Authority Employees Retirement System, which was established in 1978 under the Chapter 487 of the Massachusetts General Laws to provide Massport employees and their beneficiaries with secure retirement, survivor, and disability benefits. There are three types. You can either choose one till you die, or you can choose one, you can give it to your spouse till she dies, or you can give it to any of your children till they die. So if it's for you, it is at the highest level. If it's for your spouse, it's mid-level, and if it's for your children, it will be to the lowest level. So they get the benefits, or your benefits for life. Besides those which I already mentioned, the 3 airports, etc., we have the fire rescue headquarters, and our satellite stations are located both at Boston Airport and any other 2 airports. Our emergency expertise include aircraft rescue, firefighting, fire protection, hazardous material, which is known as hazmat, and emergency medical assistance on land, as well as offshore emergencies in around Boston Harbor with the Marine Division, which includes the American United Fire Boat. This is one of the biggest boats we have, which was named after the first aircraft, which was the American, and the second aircraft, which was United, which crashed into the World Trade Towers. That's why the fireboats are named as American United. And they can go anywhere around Boston, anything to put out fires which are by the shoreline of the Charles River. We stay prepared for emergencies as well, maintaining lifestyle automated external defibrillators throughout the airport, and conducting periodic drills, inspections, and training in CPR, first aid for airport employees. As an employee, we are all trained to go do CPR, operate emergency defibrillators for heart attacks, give first aid for any employees at the airport. We also organize informative outreach programs, including fire safety, education for school children in neighboring communities. Fire departments from all over the United States and Canada come to our state-of-the-art training facility. We are proud to be part of the Massachusetts Metro Fire District and transportation industries. They are responsible for law enforcement, policing, and specialized aviation and seaport security services for all Massachusetts Port Authority properties, including the airports, the seaport, and the Boston, Massachusetts waterfront in South Boston. To a person, they are committed to ensuring and exceeding compliance with airport security rules and regulations as mandated by both the Federal Aviation Administration and the Transportation Security Administration. They are known as Troop F of the Massachusetts State Police. They are a unique force within the state police. Specialized assets including a dedicated detective unit, a bomb squad, a community services unit, a marine unit, and a highly trained, federally certified state police K-9 teams. Our K-9 program has received numerous awards for excellence. Troop F is also one of the only 2 United States police entities certified by the International Association of Airport and Seaport Police. Boston Logan has many convenient parking options, whether you need short-term, extended stay, economy rate, or a premium guaranteed parking. It's all there. Our central parking garage is convenient to all terminals, and accessible via covered walkways with moving sidewalks. We also have parking available in all the terminals, garages, as well as our economy parking lot, with free shuttle bus services to all terminals going around every time during the day at the rate of 10 every 10 minutes. The rates for parking start at $29 a day for economy and $38 a day for regular rate parking. This rate increases every year depending on the board vote rates. This parking are ideal for business travelers, frequent flyers, gold parking express combines, the ease of touchless payment with the benefit of guaranteed parking. You have access to Logan's dedicated gold parking areas, including coveted spots in certain terminals, and you don't have to worry about finding a spot during travel periods, especially during Thanksgiving and Christmas time. We also encourage to drive clean air vehicle and get a parking spot. All of Logan parking garages and the Logan Express garages have reserved spaces for electric, hybrid, and alternative fuel vehicles, which are available on a first-come, first-served basis. Electric vehicles can use up to any of the 26 spaces to charge their vehicles while they travel. The same rates apply. You can also take the T, which is known as the transportation or the railways, or the metro, which is called in India, or you can take from the various Logan Express shuttle sites we have all over Massachusetts, where you can come, you park your car, whether short term, long term, take the bus, Logan Express bus in, which is more hydrogen based buses. You drive in for 30 to 40 miles, you work and you go back, and then you pick up your car and go home. These are various shuttle sites we have, 4 of them located, one in the North Shore, South Shore, one on the west, and one on the east of Massachusetts. We also have Uber and Lyft services, as well as limousine services, water transportation from Logan Airport to Boston Seaport side, and we have also Wi-Fi access all throughout the airport and charging plugs all throughout the airport too. So going back to Logan Airport, we have a total domestic flight as well as international flights taking out from Logan Airport. Our average daily domestic flights average 31,000 per day. But now, on average, we average only 11,000 flights a day due to COVID restrictions. Same thing with international flights. We average 4,300 a month, but now we average only 1,084 which was last month due to COVID restrictions. We have 27 international destinations from Logan, right from Aer Lingus to the WestJet Encore, which is a Canadian airline. Due to the proximity of Logan to residential communities throughout the greater Boston metropolitan area, Massport has been continually working to minimize the impacts of noise on the surrounding neighbors since 1975. It was one of the first airports in the nation to install a noise monitoring system in communities, which is now used to direct Massport's aggressive noise abatement efforts. The same rule applies to Hanscom Airport and also to Worcester Airport. The noise abatement rules are to reduce the impact of noise from aircrafts operating on neighboring communities. They include restrictions on certain runways, some ground operations, and prohibition of old noisy engine technology called Stage 2 during the sensitive nighttime hours. Boston Logan is open for aircraft flights 24 hours of the day. The noise rules, however, restricted the type of aircraft that could operate at night to stage 3, which is the quieter class of commercial jet aircraft. The ones which come mostly in the night are Qatar Airways. I know it's Emirates Airways, which they use the A340s, which are more quieter, and they have the stage 3 engines with them. So that's why they can operate in the night. Massport owns, besides all the airports and the seaport, Massport owns more than 650 acres of land and water in Boston, not including the Boston airports. These properties include both maritime uses, such as the Boston Fish Pier, where if you are in the fish processing industry, all the fish comes to the pier, they are sorted, they are cleaned, they're refrigerated, packed, and sent to various destinations in Massachusetts, in the US, and to around the world. Same as the fish which comes from international, it comes into Boston, which is again sorted and distributed to local users. We also have the Boston Autoport, whereby cars from different countries, or rather from the US mostly, come via sea, and they, instead of driving them, they all get driven by sea, and they come and they are parked at the Boston Autoport. Usually we get about approximately 50,000 cars per year. It's about 2 ships every month. We also have the Exchange Conference Center, which hosts all the various, if you want to have a Christmas party, etc., or if you want, it's more like a convention center where you want to host a convention. You can host it from 500 to 1,000 people. We also have the Conley Terminal. Conley Terminal is where the containers come in and go, where the ships come from, mostly from, biggest customer is Costco and Mediterranean Shipping Company. Roughly 2.3 million metric tons of cargo per year pass through this economic anchor for the region, connecting the 14 million people who call New England home to everyday goods and services, and breaking new records every year for units processed, because we have been expanding our port facilities. We used to have 2 berths, and now we have gone up to 4 berths, which are work day and night. So they work 24 hours of the day, whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall. You can find information on cargo volumes, truck turnaround times, adjusted gross productivity, and cement tonnage, etc., all on our website. I work in the accounting department. So my main job is in accounts receivable. In accounts receivable, we use Oracle PeopleSoft accounting system for all our accounting needs, which is more web-based, so we can click on and onto the site from anywhere in the world. We are, as I said, our biggest revenue comes not from aircraft, not from maritime, but parking. Parking is the highest revenue which we earn. We have over 60,000 parking spots throughout our airport and other seaports. So most of our revenue comes from parking. That's the highest revenue generated. Other revenues include aircrafts, parking. You can have aircraft landing fees, baggage fees, passenger fees, rents, commissions. Commissions are based on if you're operating at the airport, you have to, as a commercial service operator, whereby you supply services to all the various airlines, you will be paying as a commission based on the volume of sales you do to all these airlines, etc. Then there is the aircraft service companies who come to clean, maintain, or repair an aircraft. They also give us commission based on the sales volume they have with these airlines. Besides this, we have limos, whereby we charge for every limo which comes into the airport, and then we have the taxis who also we charge for coming to the airport. The latest one we started was the TNC, or which is the Lyft and Uber services. They are called the Transportation Network Services, which also pay us for every pickup and every drop-off they make at the airport. Besides that, we have a conduit fees. Conduit fees are anything cables which run underground throughout the airports, the seaport district. This can be for the towers, for transmission towers, or they can be for computer use, or they can be for utilities, etc. So anybody who has cables running, we charge them a monthly basis, depending on the duct foot of space they use. Other than that, we buy utilities from the state, and we supply it to all our consumers or the users. It can be electricity, sewer, fire pipe, which gives you heat, water, and then we have the air conditioning ducts. We are 100% government funded. We do not take any money from outsiders. If we need any money, we issue government bonds for the development, etc., for around the airport, or for capital programs, from repairs to development. We own the property, but we do not own the airlines. So we are more like a rental, but we are a government company, etc. So we use accounting practices like everything starting with one is coding is an asset, 2 is a liability, 3 is revenue, and 4 is expenses. Then we have location, and then we have a purpose code associated. So it covers accounting as well as cost accounting structure. And this is all goes into the FAS accounting system, which is known as the Financial Accounting Reporting System, which is used by PeopleSoft, Oracle-based PeopleSoft system. As I said, all our money comes from airports. Whatever money comes from the airlines, that money has to, at the end of the year, we do a true-up. All the money, whichever remains, since we are a non-profit government, all that money which remains goes back to the airlines. We do not give any cent of it. Everything is given back to the airlines as a credit. So that is why, that's how we perform business here. We are a non-profit, not-for-profit government company. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Pais, for a wonderful lecture. It was a beautiful insight into the working of the aviation industry and a non-profit organization like Massport. The mode of operation of the Massachusetts Port Authority was an eye-opener in itself. The way you described the kind of funding you get, the kind of investment you make, the source of revenue was all a very nice lecture to hear. Thank you once again. From the Department of Management Studies of Bangalore University, we extend to you a very warm and a grateful thank you. And thank you once again. Namaste.
You too. God bless. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Good morning, everybody. That was Derek Pais from, he was the Vice President, Accounts Receivable of the Massachusetts Port Authority, Boston. He gave us a look into how a not-for-profit organization works. The transparency in e-governance was wonderful to listen to. We now go on to Dr. N.S. Vishwanath. He's the Honorary Director General of Research of MP Birla Institute of Management. He's the Associate Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, Bengaluru. He's the Coordinator of Department of Economics of Bengaluru Central University. He was the Director and Founder Principal of the MP Birla Institute of Management for the period 1999 to 2003 and 2013 to 2018. Besides, he was Resident Director, Bhavan Marshall Institute of Management from 2005 to 2011, and Resident Director of Ohio Manipal School of Business from 2003 to 2005. At present, he is the Editor-in-Chief, Dharana, Bhavan's International Journal of Business. He was Professor of Marketing and Academic Coordinator at MS Ramaya Maharishi and Mudra Institute of Communications, Ahmedabad. He has successfully guided 12 scholars for PhD in management and continues to guide 6 more. He also had an assignment as Assistant General Manager at Case AM Board. During this span, he was involved in preparation of several research projects for the World Bank, commercial banks, and related institutions. He was also largely responsible for the evolution of the market intelligence system in collaboration with National Informatics Center. He has over 70 papers to his credit in referred journals. He is also an expert at International Trade Center, Geneva, and in Asia's Who's Who, Men and Women of Achievements. He has won the Best Paper Award for the paper in marketing in an international conference at Las Vegas, US. He has a PhD in economics, preceded by master's degree in statistics, economics, and agribusiness. In addition, he specialized in training and development and managerial skills. Dr. Vishwanath will speak about the current agricultural laws in India and its impact on agribusiness. Over to you.
Welcome all readers and all viewers who are going to view my session now and later. I thank Professor Cynthia Meneges for giving me this opportunity, perhaps an instant opportunity to highlight on a theme which is of current importance. I would like to speak today on the Agricultural Trade and Promotion Act and the marketing management of agricultural markets. Interestingly, India is a country with all kinds of varieties, diversities, deviations, and yet India is one. It's a miracle. Given that there is miracle that's going on in a miracle that's being experienced outside India by people who look at India with a lot of surprise and with a lot of hope, the present act, 3 acts which the government of India promulgated, has made some vibrant news. What kind of a news it has made? One, a big agitation has started since last several days, and today it was the All India Bandh. We have seen that. The important thing that we must understand here is that there is what is known as a time and a business cycle that operates. If one were to look at the economic and marketing and histories of countries across, connected with agri-trade, with regular manufacturing goods of trade of manufacturing goods and several others, one will notice that a business cycle operates in at least between 60 and 70 years. This happened in former Soviet Union, this happened in UK, this happened in Australia, this has happened in Japan, this has happened in the United States, and more important, the same quantitative wave of business cycle is also operating in India. Interestingly, 151 years ago, the concept of a market for agricultural produce came in way back in 1869, and the state regulation, first regulated market or state regulation started way back in 1869 in erstwhile Hyderabad state, and thereafter it's called Berar Act. Thereafter, several regulations came into being after independence. Interesting part, the origin of regulation of trade and management of trade began with the basic premise, and of course several research studies also supplemented this, proved that it requires an institution to manage trade, to conduct trade, and to see that markets won't fail both producers and consumers. Ultimately, you find that it's nature and that variety of nature that makes a difference in terms of the produce of agricultural varieties that are produced in the field, and it all depends on topographic agriculture. It is dependent upon the topographical zones under which the products or produce are grown, and the consumers are dispersed elsewhere. Interesting part is the real economy of villages are there in the production centers, and there were systematic efforts. There were many good efforts by producers then, and the characteristics of the then producers were described then in the earlier thesis was that they're illiterates, they're poor, they're good in production, not in marketing, and most important, they have got to be helped by regulating their produce through what is known as an exchange system called markets. And the markets came into being taking into consideration the costs and the cuts that are made, and the illegal cuts or immoral cuts that were being experienced earlier at the village sales were to be removed by the institutions. And more important, these farmers are governed by their own leaders. So a farmer leader will own that institution, given that institution, which is called an Agricultural Produce Market Committee, APMC. This APMC was very well structured under an APMC Act promulgated by the local government or the state government. Most important thing about this trade regulation was to prevent exploitation. Then the concept of business was, business means exploitation, because that was how business got manifested, and the state intervened. Interesting part is, after independence, the central government prepared a model act, and all the states, as many as 18 states in India, out of now 29 we have, they promulgated at the state level Agricultural Produce Market Committee Acts or APMC Acts. The idea of establishing, or the objective of establishing an APMC was to have a committee with a very well defined market area, very well defined market yard, very well defined market subyards within that market area, and then having a market subyard within the market yard, plus also to take care of regulation of so-called rural markets. Interesting part, so a market area became a contiguous place where the marketing legislation got implemented by a committee and a band of marketing people, and they started implementing one by one and in an order as to how they can now help people, especially producers who bring their produce to the market, to exchange their produce for a fair price, a market price, a better price, and so on. The interesting part was that these markets got established, and after a decade or so, then marketing specialists started thinking about the efficiencies of these markets, how efficient these markets are in regulating trade. You must understand here, every commodity and every product has its own characteristics, and especially an agricultural product has its own each product is unique in terms of its own characteristics, and the nature and the utility of the product or the produce determines the marketing system. For example, a paddy market is different from a cotton market, and a cotton market is totally different from you can say a fruit market, or it's totally different from a vegetable market. Likewise, each product has its own nature, its own utility in terms of its use, and more important, the produce which got into the markets will have to be sold and then transmitted to the end user continuously, who demands it continuously for consumption. Interesting part was, studies were conducted by Cummings, by A.M. Khusro, and several others, Barbara Harris, several others, proved that there are some levels of efficiencies established in the commodity trade, which means now, from institutional structure, well-regulated structure, the studies move towards understanding the working of these markets finding out the causes for the levels of efficiencies achieved, and the way these levels of efficiencies achieved should meet the needs of both producers and consumers. Interesting part, it's not the producer and consumer linkage that matters, it's the market functioning that matters. And they found that some studies proved that operational efficiencies of paddy market, for example, or rice market was perhaps excellent in the northern areas, especially in UP and some parts of Punjab. And they also found that in some parts of Andhra Pradesh, studies done by K. Subbarao for his PhD thesis in the 70s also proved that there was a high level of efficiency, operational efficiency of paddy markets in Andhra Pradesh. And several such studies were also done in several other states. And finally, they came to a conclusion that some products are being efficiently regulated in terms of attracting the produce to the market centers, and the markets also grew along with that. As the markets grew, and as operational efficiencies were also established under the framework of law, and management of markets were led by former leaders who became chairman and were also, in a way, managing the traders and other institutions. The institutional decay started setting in. Interesting part is that institutional decay started setting in mainly because of the corruption that got into a centralized market environment, where how this corruption got seeped in. This is true of any system, and that's how business cycle operates. Important aspect that we must understand here is the same characteristics of a faulty marketing, which led to origination of these markets. These markets became corruption centers, and they were beset with all kinds of other malpractices in spite of an improvement in the technology that took place. Interesting part, weighing machines were installed, computers were installed, market intelligence system was slowly being developed. In spite of all this, there were inconsistency in terms of prices being discovered. There were inconsistencies in terms of the charges being levied. Credit burden became a big issue. And most important thing that we must notice here is there was a decay in the efficiency levels. In spite of this, there were some surprise stories. I call them surprise stories and miracle stories because there were exceptions in spite of decay that was happening and being experienced in the entire country. What was that? Go back to the typical study of Amul. Amul became a big marketing hit in the entire world. Why? Under the cooperative sector, where successive cooperatives were considered to be extremely minimal, Amul became an exception. In the area of apple marketing, apples 50 years ago or 60 years ago, they were available only in seasons all over the country. And in 8 of the 12 months, apples were not available. Thanks to the research and implementation of that research findings in packaging, apple packages and apple cartons were developed based on wood and several other materials conducive to apple to store its quality. Apple cartons were developed, and Apple marketing initiatives were made by establishing chain of cold storages across the country. While the production centers produce seasonal apples, very surprisingly, the cold storages and large cold storages across in the urban cities made the apple available throughout the year. Even now it's being experienced. Most important thing that we must understand here is there is what is known as a commodity characteristic linkage to marketing institutions that we have developed. And most important thing aspect that we must understand here is the producers of apple were getting better share of consumers' rupee. Same thing was happening with reference to milk and milk products. Why is that? A bulk trade of paddy or rice, wheat or pulses or cotton or fiber had this kind of a system seeped into all kinds of marketing malpractices. Interesting part, there was, on the one hand, we had clear regulation, we had institution to back up regulation and implement regulation. On the other part, we had also people who were supposed to implement and govern these markets. They were not governing it appropriately. When there is no quality governance, how can you expect a system to be very efficient in transmitting the benefits of institutions, both to producers and to consumers on either side. One important thing, as the production increased, as the produce got developed consistently, markets were there to support them, and agri-processing units also got established. Perhaps typically, from the technological background and technological backdrop, cotton as a commodity markets got established very well. Milk got established very well thanks to Amul experiment, which got later replicated to all states in the country. Likewise, like these commodity exceptions were not to be generalized, or could not be generalized, because you find in most of the regulated markets, farmers who sold their produce in bulk, they were not happy with the returns they were getting. This was simultaneously supplemented by development of other institutions for bulk storage and public distribution. I should now recognize the establishment of Food Corporation of India, followed by State Trading Corporation, and also of the storage godowns of FCI, Food Corporation of India, as well as of the state warehousing corporations. These centers got established at the state level and at the central level, spread across the entire country, and they started collecting what is known as levy rice, levy wheat, to ensure enough stocks for distribution throughout in the public distribution system. Interesting part, public distribution systems, several studies have proved that they are relatively very efficient in terms of making people available produce. The question that remained silent then was, are we transmitting quality produce of, say, wheat, paddy, or rice, or any other cereals to the people who are under the PDS system, public distribution system? Interesting part was that quality suffered a beat. You must understand here that bulk sale of the so-called food grains was collected, and it was found later and discovered later that there were some faults in terms of underweighting and underpricing or overpricing in many cases, so that the money from the government was just drained. And many interesting studies also were conducted to see how much of produce, regulated produce, is being attracted by the regulated markets. Interestingly, in the case of paddy, only 29% of the paddy produced was sold in regulated markets. In the case of wheat, only 44% of the wheat was produced in regulated markets. In Karnataka state, where we did several studies, we noticed that across all products, agricultural produce, the overall trade or overall produce passing through regulated market was just 33%. But what does it mean? It means that as much as 67% or 55% of the produce are not sold in the regulated market at all, in spite of market regulation being an activity done under the leadership of farmers and farmer leaders. The question comes here, what kind of marketing management are we talking about? Important thing that we must understand here is that marketing of agricultural produce requires not just legislation backup, but also continuous revision to ensure that markets won't fail. Important thing that we must understand is government minimum support pricing has made this possible. Market crash has not happened so far, but this is only for select products. Only 32 products, agricultural produce have been regulated and are coming under a minimum support price. What about umpteen number of products that we are producing? For example, in the case of rice, there are 75 varieties of rice being produced. In the case of wheat, several hundreds of varieties of wheat are being produced. In the case of certain cereals, certain pulse crops, you find different varieties are being produced thanks to the efforts made by agriculture universities and is supplemented by its extension systems, making farmers grow better. Interestingly, this support of production should have been backed up by a very efficient set of markets to attract, to process, to convert that into several forms and reach the consumer table the way the consumer demands. interesting part is the food retail system. It's only a phenomenon of last 2 decades, but still it's just picking up. It's now picking up faster since last 4 years. Most important aspect that we must understand here is the entire marketing system was considered to be low in its efficiency. There was a decline in the functioning of the markets, and the quality governance was almost nil. When there is no governance, you find many attendant malpractices being experienced. Given this attendant malpractices that we have across the entire country, the several issues were raised, and it also took a political turn. Several issues were raised as to what we should do with these institutions. One, we cannot just close down the institution by making the present law defunct. It's not abolishing present law just at one stroke is not possible, because you have developed such institutions. At the same time, you need to find an alternate to improve its efficiency. The marketing experts suggested that instead of nullifying the market acts, allow markets to be more efficient. That's the best way. 1. 2, let the support systems continue, like minimum support system that we have, and minimum price support system that we have, plus several other price support systems that we have, plus also encourage the export trade so that there'll be always stability in the domestic markets. And in case of any instability that's being experienced, you can always make appropriate changes so that market gets stabilized. For example, onion prices went up to 100 rupees per kg at the retail level. The government took immediate, Commerce Department, Ministry Government of India took immediate steps, which led to import of onions to the local markets here, and the market prices of onion have come down. Government takes immediate steps because earlier governments have bad experience. Just a commodity can topple a union government. Because of onion prices rising, we have seen union governments being toppled. Earlier it has happened. Same thing with aloo also. Same thing with several other products. So wherever you find a marketing system puts a strain on the producer as well as on the end user, government will be affected. But government should always respond to a situation to ensure that an order of trade is established. Second, we must understand that the entire marketing system, when it has got to be revamped, we need to have an alternate legislation by ensuring the present legislation to go on in the way in which it is, and to tone it up by appropriate measures. What the government has done is to implement now these 3 acts. The first act which the government has implemented is by an ordinance, is the Farmers Produce Trade, Commerce, Promotion and Facilitation Ordinance 2020, which was promulgated on 5th June 2020, which got the assent of the President of India, which is now an act. What is this? What's this all about? This particular act ensures that producers who are supposed to sell their produce in the area in which they were selling earlier, they can exercise an option. They can sell their produce anywhere. 1. 2, when there is no restriction of a producer selling his marketable surplus by choosing his own markets, he can sell it even outside the market. It means contract sale is possible, farm sale is possible. He can also ensure a regular supply to a trader with whom he has a lot of belief in terms of getting the right prices, right returns. Second, if it is already known that from 55% to 60% of the marketable surplus is sold outside regulated markets. So those quantities of the bulk produce will get regulated by opening an alternate channels of trade. Second, it also ensures, thanks to the mobile system and the technology that we have, IT technology that we have, every farmer, of course, every Indian now has a mobile, not one, several mobiles. Okay, a farmer uses this mobile for collecting prices. Okay, information kiosks are available across the country, and you see here, very interestingly, that farmers are using mobiles to divert a part of their, or stagger their produce to sell elsewhere and get better returns. The present government has made a promise by 2022, they would like to double the incomes of the farmers. When the marketing system itself on the decline, there was no other alternative but to have this act done so that the entire marketable surplus of all produce, we have got umpteen number of produce regulated and sold, are under what is known as regulation, both in the APMC yards and also outside APMC yards. This will enable agro industries to come up. Processing industries to further will get a boost. And most important thing, processed food or food in the form in which a consumer desires at different levels in different places and different areas can be made available on the basis of ensuring continuous supply. How can that happen? That can happen only when entrepreneurship also comes in as a part of improving the marketing system. Best way of improving a marketing system is encourage entrepreneurs, allow them to perform, and be given this kind of an act where they can buy either from directly from one-to-one buying, by one-to-one establishment of the rapport with the producer, ensuring contract sales. Just go ahead with that. In fact, there are some success stories connected with contract sale with respect to Arcanut, with respect to spices. From Kerala, in Kerala state, for example, in Karnataka, you have seen Spices Trading Corporation very well operating and facilitating export trade. Similarly, Arcanut being a prime product which has got its own strength in terms of its use both in India and elsewhere, and Arcanut markets are also there, developed by producers themselves. And Arcanut markets are so strong both in Karnataka and elsewhere, especially in Karnataka, where you find that these markets are very efficient in terms of integrating these markets getting integrated from wholesale level to the retail level. Interesting part, you find grading being done there, you find quality being ensured, and most important thing, a producer who produces that dictates it. For example, in South Kannada district and North Kannada district in Karnataka state, we find that a person who owns just 50 cents of land under Erka Gardens can lead a very happy life, mainly because marketing system ensures them that kind of returns. Similarly, you can see Arcanuts with some 2,600 plus varieties are available and reaches every consumer everywhere across the entire Asian continent. Interesting part, in the Materia Medica, use of Arcanut is sanctified. The sanctification of the use of Arcanut has enabled this kind of an excellent system being developed by producers. Why not such applications happen? Why not Amul, which is a success story, getting replicated all over? Why not such applications at the producers level? Similarly, at the consumption level, we have now retailers taking up this kind of a revolution, and retail marketing system is also being developed. Perhaps the present ordinance will enable an entrepreneur, a producer, a seller to sell his produce in the form in which it is required, in the quality in which the provider desires. This will enable the buyer to further process it, of course, makes his own profit. We have to allow people to make profits for the services they deliver. But most important thing, the end user will have the availability of the produce of the quality at which, or quality and the form in which he desires it. Most important thing that we must understand here is this particular act has also enabled use of electronic devices. We have now an excellent e-NAM system which is being practiced, which started in Karnataka way back in 90s. Now it is taken over by the union government as an e-NAM experiment. You must understand here, we are integrating markets by market intelligence system, and use of IT in collecting, collating, disseminating market information has become now a reality. Only thing that we require is we need one market in terms of its integration. It means there should not be any differential prices in reflecting different levels of operational efficiencies of the markets. But most important thing, apart from law, what is required is entrepreneurial activities should get integrated into the system. But promulgation of this Promotion and Facilitation Act enables all this to happen. Most important thing, it's not against farmers, it's not against users, it's not against the government, it's not against the consumers, but it enables a system where production gets concomitantly associated with marketing, and marketing in turn ensures the product as decided by the end user at the time at which he desires. When we want, unless an efficient marketing system is developed in terms of its integrated marketing system, in terms of no exploitation, in terms of beneficial trade beneficiaries here refer to even the producers. Trade beneficiaries even refers to the producers. All these are the ones who get benefited by this trade promotion. And the first beneficiaries are our farmers. Second beneficiaries are our traders. And the third one is India being a country now on the move for further development, as a part of emerging market. You find we need more entrepreneurs who can link effectively both producers and consumers. Ultimately, we need to now change the trade. Perhaps real facilitation can happen with the use of IT, with the implementation of this act. Of course, there are several other points I need to speak about. Since I do not have time, I'd request Madam to give me some other time to speak in greater detail. But now I'd like to stop at this. But one thing is certain, I would like to stop saying that this is perhaps the best way, but only thing is we need to develop now institutions outside APMCRs for dispute resolution, for exchange and everything. Ultimately, it's the fair trade that reflects an efficient system of linking production and consumption. Second act that I would like to talk about is on the empowerment of farmers, and an ordinance connected with Farmers Empowerment and Protection Agreement on Price and Farm Services Ordinance. Post-farm activities or post-harvest activities have got to be linked to efficiency in services. Like the way production is being made efficient by use of fertilizers at the threshold level, not go beyond certain levels. Thanks to American disastrous experiments which they did, India has learned it. Now we have gone back to organic farming. Slowly, it's moving since last 10, 15 years, moving towards organic farming. Same organic farming which was happening earlier is slowly taking a different shape now. And along with practices, we need to have farm marketing practices too. And this second ordinance ensures one, contract farming. Taking contract of a particular farm and giving the price at which it's amounts to forward trade of produce. Contract farming is very much there with respect to a commodity called arkanet. Contract farming is very much there. They call it Cheney system in Shimoga district. Likewise, contract sale of tamarind, contract sale of apple. Apple is very much there in northern India. Similarly, such contract trades are to be regulated by a legal system. And under this act, it's quite possible, because only what is required is a legal set of formats to be developed, which government has already now initiated, and it's yet to put into action. But maybe in a few months, it will put into action to ensure that the farmer empowerment and protection is made, because this Empowerment Act will enable easy transaction, and it also ensures ease of transaction between producer and the buyer. Ultimately, the insurance may also come in here. Perhaps insurance as an institution may get into here for an effective intervention to either help producers or help the entrepreneur. Ultimately, this act is more critical in terms of giving a great fillip, a gap which existed between a producer and a trader, and it ensures, I'm sure the way, if it's implemented, it will definitely ensure the confidence of both trader and the producer. Smoothness of transaction is ensured by this act. There are several other issues connected with the act, and people are making arguments far and against it. But most important thing is that is not of a great concern, because as the time passes, there could be some amendments given the way now things are happening, one or two amendments, a few amendments may set in to make it much more efficient in the initial stages itself. And the third act is on the guaranteeing prices, and guaranteeing prices is ensured already by minimum support prices. Plus, if guaranteeing prices is done in terms of the contract sale itself, that's another alternate method of ensuring a definite price or value for the produce that is grown. And most important thing is the way the farmers are protected by law. You must understand here, I think all the entire act that we have got, or the acts that we have now on which agitation is going on, I would suggest that if it should be there for the time being, and people have to wait and see what kind of results it would finally result in, and what kind of results may be expected. Perhaps the first expectation is the present act is essential to completely transform agri-markets and agri-marketing per se in India. Second, it ensures entire coverage of entire marketable surplus to move away from the producer with appropriate value being derived by him, and to the end user with consistent prices for the end user to finally get whatever he wants on the dining table. Most important aspect along with this is the integration of markets through market intelligence, which is already being happening as an experimental stage in several states, including Karnataka. From 6 states are being experimented now, where we have found that export traders are already using this ENAM facility, where in the case, for example, in the case of pomegranate trade in Bijapur, we have found entire pomegranates grown in Bijapur and mangoes are sold in West Asia and in different parts of the country. This act is going to help them. Third, we must other point that we must understand here is on the management of these regulated markets. We need to train people to grade produce, to highlight the characteristics of the produce, to process the produce, to ensure the agro-processing units getting established, small, medium, or big, at markets level or at the consumption level, depending upon the hinterland, depending upon the hinterland of production, hinterland of consumption. Appropriate locations of these processing units have got to be established and integrated. Allow entrepreneurs to have their enterprises, processing enterprises, to ensure that marketing system becomes almost perfect. There could be some hitch which are likely to happen, because wherever there are human beings, you find problems getting in, and you find peculiar problems may set in, which may lead to an amendment of the act or amendment of the law, which is possible by a responsive government. So when the government is responsive, I think it's time for us, all of us, to wait for this and ensure that the best thing happens here. And I would like to say that agri-marketing system in India is operationally relatively efficient, but it varies across commodities. But most important thing is there is a need to develop an integrated system. We have now a holistic system getting established under the promulgation of these 3 acts. I would suggest that we have to wait and we have to participate. There is no other go, but continuously effort should be made to update and upgrade the system. And this kind of effort will make perhaps agri-marketing system in India the best in the world. In fact, there are some success stories where Barbara Harris and several others have quoted, perhaps case studies, wherein an entrepreneur
Excuse me, ma'am. Please unmute yourself.
I'm very sorry. The participants, thank you for your participation. We now have with us, we just had Dr. N.S. Vishwanath, Director of MP Birla Institution of Management Studies. He has been a very fine researcher and has brought to you the findings of his research papers spanning of his career spanning over 3 decades. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful lecture. Given the current scenario in our country, an understanding of agribusiness and agri laws was very important. Thank you very much once again. From the Department of Commerce and Management Studies, a warm and grateful thank you to you, sir. Namaste. We now proceed to the next session. The next session is handled by Mr. Shinto Joseph. Mr. Shinto Joseph is currently working as Director, Southeast Asia Operations at LDRA Technology Private Limited, a subsidiary of LDRA Limited, UK. He has done his MBA in marketing from Christ, Bangalore, and also holds a BTech degree in computer science from TKM College of Engineering, Kerala University. He is a distinguished alumnus and an award winner. He has got the award of Distinguished Alumnus from Christ Institute of Management. With over 22 years of experience in handling embedded software lifecycle solutions, he has built many teams and companies in the embedded systems field. Working with cross-border delivery teams, technology partners, and industry regulators in the defense, airspace, automotive, industrial, medical, rail, and nuclear sectors are his unique advantage. Today, he concentrates on creating a healthy ecosystem in the mission, security, and safety critical systems domain in Southeast Asia. He has presented many papers in both industry and academy forums and contributed in several faculty development programs. He is also an organizer of many international technology conferences and an active member in several industry and professional bodies, and works very closely with several government bodies and safety and security regulatory organizations. He brings to us a topic that describes the post-COVID scenario in our country and in the world. His lecture is very interesting because he concentrates on individuals' behavior and ethical responsibility as regards his professional front, as well as a responsibility towards Mother Nature. His lecture also goes on to describe what is required of one professionally in today's world. He talks about what are the needs or the necessities of corporates in today's world. It's a wholesome lecture. It starts from what Mother Earth has taught us in this COVID period and goes on to what we could do. It is a very positive lecture. In these days when there is a lot of negativity regarding COVID-19, you see a lot of positivism in Mr. Shinto Joseph's lecture. I will conclude now and you will be able to hear Mr. Shinto Joseph. Over to you.
Good morning. First of all, I should thank Department of Commerce and Management, Bangalore University for this wonderful program. Because today, learning is, many people say it is disrupted. It is not happening because of COVID. But then we have programs like this, which encourage learning beyond borders, beyond time frame, beyond classrooms. So I thought I should take up a topic which will go well with the theme of the event, as well as in the current scenario. Myself, Shinto Joseph. In fact, I have been associated with the department this year, beginning for another program. Thanks for inviting me for that program also. Myself, I had a British company's Southeast Asia operation. The company's name is LDRA. We are into engineering, safety, and security solutions for safety and security markets, which include aerospace, defense, automotive, medical, blah, blah, blah. So leaving aside that part of our business, this topic which I'm going to discuss today is close to my heart. We are going to discuss a topic called leadership and management in post-COVID era. You know, it's a quite interesting subject. You might ask me what is great for these two subjects in post-COVID era. We will see that. I mean, how these two concepts are evolving, how we can prepare ourselves as management professionals, as commerce professionals, or any kind of professionals to survive in today's world. So I will have a couple of slides to share my thought process, but more and more, and I'm going to use my own experiences in the last 9 months, how we manage the leadership challenges, probably managing our own business. Today, we don't need an office, but we have reached that level. So with this background, I'm going to share my screen with a couple of slides. Okay. So the keys are not working. Yeah, that's here. So this is the topic, leadership and management in post-COVID era. So I would like to cover this topic with the following points. What is really happening today, and I will talk a little bit about leadership disruption and the new definition of employee, how employees are working today in the COVID era and probably post-COVID era. The technology trends which are driving post-COVID era, because you are seeing an increasing trend towards technology adoption, and leadership also needs a complete restructuring in today's world if you really want to run organizations today. Let's see what is so-called new normal. People talk about new normal, but I have a slightly different perspective towards the whole concept of the VUCA world. Everybody talks about volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But then I'm defining this thing from a slightly different perspective. The C, complexity, I replaced with the novelty. Novelty means every day you are seeing something new today. Today is COVID. Tomorrow, we don't know. It might be David. It might be some other virus, some other issues around the world. So as leaders, as managers, we are expected to be very agile. Expect the unexpected anytime. That was not the case in our childhood. Probably, people like us, we also had seen changes, but we never seen these kind of drastic changes. And that calls for new actions, new philosophies, new way of doing things. And so this is where we are coming from. Now, if we go further, what has changed today's world? The way we do business, the way we work culture has changed. People are becoming more environmental conscious. Business models have changed. Entertainment has changed. People are not traveling, but without travel, we are able to do business. For example, in my organization, people used to believe everything happens across the table. So I keep flying every week. My team handled 10 countries in the entire Southeast Asia. Every week I was traveling. I used to be a guest at home. Today, I'm under house arrest, but then life is normal. We are still able to do business. That means customers are also willing to adapt. We are adapting, customers are also adapting. And there is a social change which is happening. People are getting connected, people are understanding what is close to us, means importance of family, values, relationship, friends. We are realizing of late. We are also thinking about Mother Earth. We've been looting this world beyond a limit it can withstand. Concepts like sustainable development, it was there in movies, it was there in magazines and newspapers. But now, me and you are thinking about it. And we're also realizing the importance of healthcare. Without healthcare, the whole humanity will not survive in this today's world. So what does it mean? Instead of spending money on bombing and missiles, it's high time to invest on healthcare. So as young professionals, I suggest take healthcare a little more seriously. You're going to see increasing investment by countries across the globe in this domain. Now, the economic shift factor, there is a huge shift that is happening. People are moving from Taiwan cities, from Bangalore city. You already have seen roads are getting empty. Many are moved to tier 2, tier 3 cities, and you are also seeing, as I told you, increasing adoption of technology, and people who understand there are a lot of changes happening. And if you are able to take those changes positively, some of these changes are emphasis on R&D, emphasis on local production, local jobs, local manufacturing, and a new wave of new geopolitical equations. You would have seen what is happening in the South China Sea and its impact on even a country like India. How a lot of manufacturing jobs are now getting shifted to India, Taiwan, Vietnam. Because as I told you, I travel the entire belt. We are seeing this shift in the last 5 years. It is getting accelerated. And it is also going to open up a lot of job opportunities for us. Watch out. This is where I'm telling you, the economic shift of post-COVID era. One area where you need to closely watch the new American president, what type of policies he's going to take, but I'm not seeing going to change major shift. This is going to continue. Now, what is happening on the leadership front? I spoke about the business and how businesses are running, how companies are getting adjusted to the new normal. Now, there is something seriously happening on the leadership front. The complete leadership landscape is getting disrupted. Look at this. This is what was happening in pre-COVID era, right? The pre-COVID era was like this. But then, where the boss was sitting on the top and he's able to run the organization, he had visibility on the entire organization, his managers, and the people under him. But now, that is gone. He doesn't have anybody under him. He lost complete control of what is happening around him. And he's able to, reach out to his employees very rarely. The traditional command control, which we use in the management philosophy, is completely gone. So now the frontline employees, they are the guys who are calling the shots. Watch out. Means that the leaders who are used to the traditional way of controlling organizations through the power, command, control, they are virtually out of business. Those organizations led by such leaders will go out of business. So you need a different type of leadership, which is nothing but empowering the juniors, empowering the managers, and an upside down, a pyramid going upside down. Imagine this structure. Can you imagine? There are ways to implement it. Leadership approach has to completely change. So we will discuss that part. What type of leadership will help you in this kind of transition? Now, the new employee definition. Let's see how employees are getting evolved. The old era of 9 to 5 work culture is completely gone, right? Now, work from anywhere is a key thing. Anytime, any device, anywhere in the world, you have a whole lot of new avenues coming. And we used to worry earlier about, how do I grow in a company? But now with the virtual working, the importance of individual contribution is getting exposed. New workflow definition, new workflow solutions are coming, which will evaluate employee performance also in a different way. This throws challenges for HR professionals, employee engagement models, recruitment, onboarding an employee on online, for example, we've had a freeze on hiring. Last week we removed it, and I said, HR, let's restart it. Let's start people getting on board on virtually. Why we wait? We cannot continue the scenario of waiting for people to join inside office. It goes further. How the employees are heard in that organization, that is also changing. Earlier, what has happened is you have to talk to your manager, and the manager will talk to his manager, and finally the boss. Now, the whole organization is almost flat. Even the junior most guy can make noise. He can be heard in an organization, and the learning also is completely changing. Look at the education sector. Today, can you imagine this kind of session? For example, tomorrow, if it was tomorrow, I would not have been free. Even I have a 1 hour slot today morning, or where I'm able to utilize this. So we are able to do anything remotely without even me coming to Bangalore University campus. Wherever I sit, I'm able to participate in this kind of programs. This throws up new opportunities for teachers. I know teachers also go through a tremendous pressure in terms of upgrading their teaching skills through online platforms. In fact, they need to be trained. Inside, we used to do offline lot of training programs in my company. Today, we have completely moved to online. We are now moving to a completely LMS-based, learning platforms, which actually brings down the cost. That is where I said democratized learning process. It is increasingly getting adopted. What does it mean for an employee? This learning, earlier, being relevant in the company was good enough. You butter your boss, you are there. But then from that level, it went to being relevant in the industry was good enough. But now that is gone. Being relevant with the time. What does it mean? A decision what you took before COVID, and decision what you are taking today, and decision what you are taking post-COVID will be totally different in the same organization. That means we need to be up to date with the time. What was there yesterday is not what is today, and what is there tomorrow will be different. So being relevant, it is difficult. What does it mean for future employees? Employees need to be creative. The left side of the brain, which are more logical, mathematical oriented, repetitively done, that part is getting completely automated with artificial intelligence. Robots are cobots, means robots plus human beings working together. That's going to be the future. And employees' capabilities are also getting augmented. Even augmented reality is coming around you, which will be backed with artificial intelligence-based capabilities. That's the kind of employees you're going to see today. We deal with, on a day-to-day basis, such customers. I have customers who are thinking about, developing 5th generation, level 5, means completely autonomous car without driver. That type of cars are on the way. Now, this is where you might ask, with all these things, where do I go for jobs? Still, a lot of jobs are available. What is required is use your right side of the brain. Right side of the brain is a colorful brain, right? A colorful brain asks for critical thinking, creative thinking, and complex decision making. These are the three same skills. World Economic Forum has forecasted for potential employees for future. Work on these 3 areas: critical thinking, creative thinking, and complex decision making, using your right side of the brain. Left can be augmented with the technology, so you don't have to worry about it. Again, if you think that your IQ is going to take you to heights in your career and life, sorry. Modern study says intelligent quotient is only a small factor. It is your emotional quotient. It is plays much more importance than the IQ. After that, you have the SQ, that's your social quotient. How connected are you? Why people are suiciding today? It is because of lack of social connect. And the third, RQ, resilience connect. How you are able to rebound when something goes wrong. COVID calls for rebound because we might face problems. We might face failures in business. Call for action is rebound and the creative quotient. Again, coming back to the same thing. Some people call even spiritual quotient. You could decide whether you want to be spiritual or non-spiritual, doesn't matter, but having faith on something and somebody might help you in bad times. Now, let me take you to the other side of the world, which is really virtually changing the world today. A tech evolution or revolution, which is rocking the whole world today. There are a bunch of technology trends which we need to keep an eye as commerce and management professionals. The reason I am telling, with COVID, we are not able to reach out to people. We are not able to run the organizations the way we are running today. As I told you today, we have reached. I work for a quarters of companies in UK. We don't need an office anymore. None of our employees come to my office. But being a British company, a traditional company, we will not vacate our office. Imagine if I was working for an American company, my management in UK, I report to the board directly in UK. They would have told me, hey, Shinto, why you need an office? Just vacate. It saves, a huge amount in a year for maintenance, salaries, the operational expenses, electricity, AC, rent, and common area maintenance. It keep on going like that. So that is the world which we're living in. So technology is the one which is booming, making noise. What type of technologies? Let's see that. Digital transformation is a key thing. In fact, you remember Digital India is a movement which government of India started years back. And imagine if we had not started that. Imagine our economy was not in the phase of digitization. We would have been facing serious questions. Even now we are facing problem. I'm not saying that we are not facing problem, but that would have been much more. Privacy and security is getting a serious issue now because everywhere you're getting tracked. Your biometric footprint is there anywhere in the world. When I travel anywhere in the world, even years back when I am going through an airport in any other part of the world, my fingerprint, my iris biometric footprint is there everywhere. People are able to track me. Today, with mobile, you are still trackable. There are countries which has put in massive surveillance infrastructure on their people itself. You have acceleration of Industry 4.0, which is that was the session. In fact, in the beginning of this year, I did a session as part of the faculty development program, the skills for Industry 4.0. This calls for automation, connectivity, pervasive connectivity, means connectivity anytime, anywhere, for anyone, anytime. That's the level of connectivity we are talking about with intelligence. Now, this where resilience is a key thing. As I told you, the RQ factor, resilience and rebound is one of the key criteria as far as technology adoption is concerned. You need to have technical systems which will help you in rebounding your business. Sustainability in operations in terms of energy, in terms of how do we feed our people, because locally food has to be available. Because you can imagine a situation where food may not be getting. Even a country like China, I don't know if you noticed, last couple of months, they are facing severe food shortage, and they're coming to India for buying rice. You can imagine their condition. You also will start investing on sustainable infrastructure, which will last beyond climate changes, beyond technology disruptions. You also will look at business strategies that will help you in surviving in today's world. You are relooking your current business strategies. You are looking at innovating what you are doing right now. You're looking at how to network with new ways. For example, everybody who was listening to me, I suggest you should have a social media account, particularly in LinkedIn. If you're a professional, if you don't do networking in today's world in such a platform, I'm not promoting LinkedIn. Any such platform that will help you in connecting, please do so. Entertainment is completely getting redefined. That is throwing up a new set of opportunities. You're seeing the OTT platforms like Netflix, Amazon Prime. You will see more and more such platforms in the coming era, which are powered by technology evolution. Digital platforms and digital payments platforms is the order of the day. You saw just 2 days back, Government of India raising the online, the contactless payment for credit card from 2,000 to 5,000. This is just the beginning. Artificial intelligence, whether you like it or not, AI is going to be the order of the day. You will see Alexa talking to Rosa, to Jolie, to Joseph, to Thomas, all kind of AI-powered boards and coboards are going to invade our privacy. Imagine, we need to be prepared. You can adapt in these trends in two ways. One is resist, fight. The other one is take the best out of these technologies, use it for our advantage, while safeguarding our privacy. So you need to be careful on what all things you throw into public audience. In any platform you enter also, you need to be very careful on what you are throwing, what you are connecting. Analyzing data is going to be the order of the day. Data is the new oil. You can see what Ambani is doing. He's not investing anymore in oil business. He is investing on information and playing around with the data. He knows 130 crores people data is able to analyze. He can mint money out of it. IT, Internet of Things is going to the next level of areas. We have a concept like, Internet of Everything means I can even replace some of the devices with software today. Software defined everything. That's the order of the day, where your manufacturing operations have many customers who are working in this field. Conventionally, we had the IT infrastructure to internet infrastructure and the operational infrastructure, which are nothing but the planned manufacturing systems. Now, the IT with the OT with IoT, the internet, your IT infrastructure and the OT infrastructure. OT is nothing but your plant automation, how do you control your conveyor belt, all sorts of things. All three are getting connected. That's internet, industrial Internet of Things, IIoT. A new concept is evolving. This is a real boom right now, where robots play a major role. Manufacturing is, with the 3D printing backed robots, are the order of the day. You might find it a film story, but this is something what my customers are already working on. Most of their products will be out in the market next 1 or 2 years. Already, many are already there in the market. You would have seen the robots assisting in COVID care in hospitals. That's a classic example. Cybersecurity is going to be the real challenge in this kind of transition, because with the connected systems, your privacy, not only your privacy, your business data, a strategic angle to cybersecurity, because I sit in a couple of Government of India committees, because my company provides expertise on defensive cybersecurity. We don't advise anybody to go on offensive on anything. We help people to prepare defensive cybersecurity network systems for defense, nuclear, industrial systems. So that's another space which we operate. But then what we are seeing is there's a clear possibility that people might use a moving car as a terror weapon. There's a very possibility. So there are discussions already happening with the Government of India. Various committees are getting formed to how to prevent this connected car getting misused for such activities. Blockchain. In fact, there is a project which is currently under discussion in India, where how we can use blockchain in land records digitization. See, something which one side we are not able to legalize the blockchain because of various regulatory issues, but then this is going to be only a matter of time. You would see digital currencies going to the next level technology. Maybe the approaches what we are following in concepts like blockchain may not be practical, but then it's only a matter of time. Things will evolve to the next level. The augmented and extended reality is the order of the day. In fact, this concepts originally evolved. You would have seen the American soldiers fighting in a warfront, where it is not his original vision. It is the extended, augmented, vision which is coming to him. Even if an explosion happening in front of him, the soldier is not seeing that. He's seeing what has been shown to him. He's been asked to move, he moves. That's it. So imagine if you're able to use augmented reality concepts, you don't need any more large conferences. In fact, last year I went to Kuala Lumpur for a conference as a speaker. I made a focus, sir. It's only a matter of time. I need not to fly down Kuala Lumpur as a speaker, sitting in India, I would feel that, I am addressing the entire audience in Kuala Lumpur. The same way, the audience also feels that, I am addressing, like the same thing what is happening today. 5G network is the order of the day. You just watch out. It's only a policy framework. Government is already working on that, rolling out 5G network. With 5G coming, with one click, you can see an entire movie getting downloaded to your machine. That's the speed which you're talking about. Cloud is already there, but you're seeing a cloud is going to be increasingly penetrating your office environments. Like I told you, since we have been working completely on cloud, the IT infrastructure was supporting us for working remote working. So with all your OTT platforms, your online learning, it is the cloud which is helping you to do that. So my request, all of you, whether you are teachers, students, please pick up these concepts. This is going to be the future. It is getting accelerated. We are also seeing a 1 trillion economy by 2025. The digital economy means a lot more jobs are going to be created in Indian context. A lot more jobs are going to be seen in the world market also, job market, because India is a place where jobs are getting downloaded, right? So be prepared to understand this transition. I spoke about, this disruption calls for changing the way we do things, changing the way we work, because we are not able to manage organizations and offices the way we used to do earlier days. Now, given that scenario, what do? The only way what we can do is change the way we run the organization, change the way we lead people, right? Now, there's a concept called, influential thought leadership development. What is influential thought leadership? Let me explain that part. The traditional leadership is basically, I think you all know the difference between a manager and a leader. Manager is somebody who manages things efficiently, whereas a leader is somebody who probably goes beyond the efficiency part, and he makes things happen even in bad times, right? That's a definition of the leader. And in bad times, that is where actually you need leaders, not just managers. So, but then how do you manage people when they are not directly connected to you? They are in a virtual world. Look at this concept of evolving as an influential thought leader. You would start anybody, all of us started at the entry level. At that point, I'm just talking to you about the ladder, how you grow up as an influential thought leader. What you know about yourself is only matters. You start at entry level, you start as a knowledge worker, and you remember your salary is low, you don't have time, you're working 24/7, you are not happy. Eventually, for any professionals, these are the three factors that matter, right? Your financial gains, you matters. I do agree. But believe me, guys, those who are working only for money will regret it at a later point of time. Your time matters, how much time you spend for yourself, your family, and your relationship and friends. And the next level is you go up, next level as a knowledge worker, where you get some certifications, where you're able to convince your management, I learned something. Hey, if you don't pay me, I have every chance to work for somebody else. You will get a salary hike there. That's the starting point. You get your first salary hike. But you're still struggling. You don't have time. You're not happy much. And then you go to the next level. You're trying to become a functional expert, at least in finance or marketing or whatever, HR. You try to become an expert in one area, at least at a limited scale. Yes, you got one more thing. You became a little more happy. Hey, people are looking and listening to me. That's where actually who knows me that matters, right? Who you know. First level is what you know about yourself. The second level is who you know. That's what matters. In your circle, whom all you know. And from the functional expert, you go to a subject matter expert. You got one more hike in your salary. Okay? It matters. And believe me, guys, money matters to some extent in your life. But then let's see how you really become happy in your life. From that level, you're going to evolve as a thought leader. Yes, once you become a thought leader, you start writing, you start talking, you start, interacting with people with your vision, how you wish to lead people in terms of your philosophies, ideas, and setting examples, walk the talk with your integrity. And eventually, who knows you as that what matters, right? As a professional in this evolution, you become an influential thought leader in your community over a period. Maybe many of you might be halfway through with this. You may not be, even if you're joining as an entry-level worker in a company, you probably would have been already started this process. Where you are, how you are, we will see that part. So these are some of the characters, traits of an influential thought leader. He is consistent, he is clear on what he is talking about. He always is connected in the industry very well, very well. May not be industry, if you are in academia, you will be connected there, right? You also would know, you probably, you will be known as well-known speakers, authors. Please publish something. Even if you're a student, teachers, doesn't matter, keep publishing. You need to, even if you have an account in LinkedIn, once in a while, why don't you publish something? But what you publish, what you write also matters. Because what you talk probably will lie only to one or two people. But today, if you are in social media, it reaches everywhere. But what you write in a social media, it will lie forever. So make sure that you write the right thing. He doesn't struggle in negotiation because people know him as a deal maker. So naturally, he wins. And he regularly stays in spotlight. People know him because he always publishes, he talks, and often found mentoring others. That's the key thing. He mentors others. This is an area where I would strongly recommend each one of you to look at it very seriously. The reason why I'm saying is, many of us don't help others much. But if you're able to mentor others with your leadership approach, what happens is people will stick around with you. Modern world, people work for managers. Remember, people work for managers, not for the company. So this is where actually your long-term survival also comes into picture. People stick around with you when you mentor people, when you coach them, when you assure them a career, they don't leave you. It is very, very useful when you have great people under you. You grow as a professional, you grow as a leader. Now, where do you start? The starting is basically you start with a pitch. Yes, I want to evolve as an influential thought leader. A 9-step journey. Many of you might be halfway through with this. Then you try to position yourself. How do you position yourself? You start talking, you start publishing, you start interacting with more people with your vision, value systems. I use the word value system, very important. If you don't have integrity, if you don't walk the talk, believe me guys, nobody is going to come to you seriously as a thought leader eventually because they know this guy is bullshitting. It's very clear because I've seen many people, blah, 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 they talk, big gans, but after his session is over, people say, hey, what does it mean? He doesn't mean anything, man. He doesn't follow any of these things, right? So, walk the talk, that's what matters. Profile building makes you a subject matter expert. From a subject matter expert, how do you become a thought leader? Thought leader is something you start publishing. You can publish in journals or publishing your own, blogs or, articles. There are ways to do that. In fact, recently I did a session for a university engineering student and a student told me, sir, what are you talking about? How do I publish? I'm a student. Nobody allows me to publish anything. And I asked him, do you write love letters? There was a silence. I said, my friend, do you write love letters or have you written love letters? Yes, sir, I have done it. I said, you have started your journey as a thought leader, man, because you have tried to influence somebody by writing something. So if you have done that, nothing stops you from writing something which is worthwhile in another forum. Go to your own LinkedIn, you go to your own blog. Sir, doable. Intellectual property, you can have your own patent or whatever could be. It need not be a patented IP with you. Could be a concept. People can take you as an expert advisor. If there is a subject discussion happening, and then that's the time people call you, oh, okay, this guy knows the subject. Let's go to him. You have created your IP. You're a brand, right? And that's something which we all forget. Today's world, all of us are brands. It is easy to create a brand. Collaboration is the order of the day. How do you collaborate with people? How do you collaborate? As I told you, the virtual collaboration is the key thing in today's world. Borderless virtual collaboration. And connect with as many people as possible. It's very, very important. Social connect using social media platforms with a purpose. Do it it's an investment, guys. For me, I started taking these things serious about at least 12, 13 years back, very seriously. Today, in my domain, I'm connected with recently almost everybody in our country, in our business. A little bit of reasonable connect in our circle abroad in US and European markets, because I work for a global company and we are the market leader in the domain which we operate. So naturally, unless you are connected, you can't reach out to that many number of people in physical world. And luckily, over a period, what has happened is today close to around 20K connections I have in LinkedIn. And that is the biggest IP I have as a profession. Same thing, I request you guys make an investment, 10 to 15 years of investment in LinkedIn or in a similar platform. And you also import these contacts with you because that's your IP. You can import those contacts and keep it with you, because tomorrow, if LinkedIn ditches you, you still be able to utilize those contacts for advantage. Amplify what you do using your connections, right? That's very modern. Build your connections. And finally, my message is you have a new leadership style. You have a new approach towards problem. But when problems happen, my suggestion is please accept the reality. Today, we have a problem on the table. But our success depends upon how do we accept the reality. Typically, what we do is we do this ostrich model. I didn't see anything. By doing that, what happens is two things. One is you're losing an opportunity to bounce back. Second, if you accept the problem, 50% of the problem is solved. That's what psychologists say. And develop some good habits. I have one example to tell you. Post-COVID, I was under house arrest. Morning and evening, I started going out for a walk. Today, it's an addiction for me. Every day, 30 minutes morning, 30 minutes evening. It's worth. I'm highly energetic today, unlike the pre-COVID era. I get positive hormones in my body, which makes me to think positive, to do more positive things. So keep going forward. Never stop learning. Take action at the right time. This is the time to take an action if you're not active. I told you I could act much early. We could actually, as an organization also, we acted much early. We did a lot of disruptive changes inside organization. What we did in the first probably the couple of weeks of the lockdown is we divided the entire company into 6 groups. The largest group was the 6th one. We call it lead generation group. And that team was supported by activities by the other 5 groups. Everybody in the organization was, I told, we need to survive, guys. It is a bad time for us. So the other 5 were developing strategies on content, online, webinars, seminars, blah, 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 whatever you call it. Creative designs, which are more empathetical, emotional oriented, because people are worried, stressed out. We are a techie company. So we said we need to change our complete marketing messaging using a more of an emotional connect with people. It worked. I was expecting about 50% hit in our business. We are now left with around 10-15% hit. So that's I'm talking about. It is possible, provided if you earlier the better we take action. Now, what kind of action, how, when you take, this is what you would see. Means when you try to do something new, people will laugh at you. Anywhere. This is a common problem in our organizations, in our society. When first they will laugh at you, then they will challenge you. Man, you cannot do it. That second one, third one is, once they see you doing, they'll appreciate you. Finally, they will praise you. You have one more example for the same thing. I have another slide, wherein I say, first they will laugh at you, then they will challenge you. You can't do it. Then they will, curse you, stupid fellow, useless fellow. Finally, one day you will find that guy doing the same thing, saying that is his idea. Don't worry. You know, you started it. You are the ignite. Forget it, how many people copied it. But you could make an impact in today's world. In organizations, in your communities you live, in your families. That's all matters. How many people copied your idea? Doesn't matter. So my final message to each one of you is keep trying, and eventually you would see a major change happening in your businesses, in your communities. Maybe many of us are lucky with this kind of disruptive changes happening. Some of us are not. Some other people are not so lucky. We have a larger responsibility to help those people. I strongly believe as professionals, we have a very serious responsibility to help people around us in terms of, as youngsters, I see this problem at multiple fronts because I've been involved in this community-related activities of late with a couple of forums. What I've seen is actually, I see three groups. One is the people above 40s, okay? The other side is actually the very youngsters, people, most of the students, if somebody is listening, probably in that category. And then the youth. The people above 40s are the one probably would need help. You see a digital divide, which is depriving them information about the latest trends and techniques and practices. So they are the one who would need better attention. It is also a business opportunity. I would request all the social entrepreneurs do something for this category. You can do wonders with using technology. Actually, today technology allows you to do that. The youth needs a different orientation with regard to reskilling and upskilling in postcode and data, because there are a lot of new jobs are coming up. We need to grab that. And for the kids, they have a different approach because that's the time their personality is getting groomed. In an online world, probably they might lose connect with their friends and families. It can distort their personality development. We need to be aware of that. There are planned interventions we can do to help them also. So my message is COVID brings problems. It also brings in huge amount of opportunities. There is a green light. It is just close to us. Economy is rebounding. A lot of new opportunities are coming up. Don't worry. All these problems will go one day. It is our day, and this country will do well. And I'm sure all of you listening to me also will do well in this wonderful days coming ahead of us. Thank you. First of all, I should thank again the university team, especially Madam Cynthia and team, for inviting me for this. Wish you all the best in the coming days. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, sir. It is our pleasure and pride to have you as a speaker. Your talk was so enlightening and enriching, especially your positive attitude towards post-COVID situation in the country and towards employment for our students. When there is so much negativity all around, your positive attitude shines like a beacon. Thank you so much, sir. Have a great day. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Excuse me, ma'am. Yeah, please mute yourself. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
Welcome, Dr. C.A. Abhishek. This is the management department signing off. Your formal introduction will be given by the commerce department. We will now sign off and we will be back at 3 p.m. Meantime, the commerce department will take over. I request the commerce department to take over. Welcome, sir, once again. Namaste to all of you.